Hey, it's that time again for the Sonic Host Coast to Coast podcast. Now, we are here both today for, as Malzil and I, my name is Radrey, I'm your host also. We are here to give you the state of the podcast. Now, we want to, put together relatively a pretty good podcast for all of our listeners out there. But we want you to be in the process of what it's like to make this show. So this way you see the inner workings of what it is that's, boggling our minds about what it is that, probably Sonic fans are talking about, what you're talking about, what Malzil is talking about, what I'm talking about, what we're thinking, what everyone's thinking. Well, maybe not everyone. And going back to that old, the Professor Xavier, the David Howler of it all, everyone's talking. So hopefully the only voices you're hearing right now are ours. And while you're
don't listen to the voice that tells you to burn things.
Yeah, no, not that one. Yeah,
that's a bad voice.
Yeah, if you have people telling you to do things that are relatively seen as heinous, you probably should not do them. And if you don't know what that is, I don't know. Google is your friend. You can look that up, and it'll tell you everything that is bad in this world. Or maybe it won't. I don't know. I'm not your dad. I'm sure you could figure it out. Anyway, this is weird. How do we get out of this? I need to start talking about something else. So,
okay, well,
this show is the Sonic Show. Well, not the Sonic Show on YouTube.
We are Sonic Hosts Coast to Coast.
Yeah, Sonic Hosts Coast to Coast.
And before we get any further, I want you all to stop. I want you to look in the notes of the episode. I want you to hit the link to the Discord. Come join. Come hang out with us. Come chat with us. Let your voice be known. Let your voice be one of the voices in our heads.
I think the only way you probably could get somebody to join our server is if we have some really highly contentious opinion that, they need to come in here to tell us we're wrong. So, I don't know. I'm not sure what else. I mean, maybe they're looking for a good time. I hope you're looking for a good time. We're good vibes. We got rules now. They're pretty cool. You love them. Yes. I don't know. Yes. If you want to join our Discord, you feel free to. If you like Sonic the Hedgehog, we would like to be getting better numbers for this show. We're trying to grow our audience, or are we? I don't know. What are we doing here? What is the goal? Actually, I do know what the goal is. The goal is to have fun and enjoy it.
Exactly.
Not to look at how much money you're making, because once you start making dollars and bills and cents and coins, things get ugly. So
they do.
So with that in mind, we really do enjoy doing the show. We like talking. We like talking about Sonic the Hedgehog, and so we want to sort of dive a little deeper into this. Because one thing I've been planning for a bunch for this year in particular, and I guess since last year and the year before, I do a show called Sonic Historian. You may or may not know that there is a big guest that we had on the show. It was Nakama Shota. I can't speak today. Nakama Shota. What is it with the Japanese language, man? I tell you, it's like there's so many damn syllables. How did they do it? Tell me. What is their secret? No, it's a lot of syllables. I guess you just get used to it after a while. Anyway, I digress. Yeah, so I interviewed the music producer. I guess you could also say the marketeer, the virtuoso, the guy behind Sonic Symphony. And it was a really great interview, and it was really fun to finally meet the guy who is behind it. Because, they've done a worldwide tour, and I'd say it's probably one of the few Sonic, what would you call it? Not properties. Sonic outlets? Yeah, I guess outlets or media or piece of media or whatever.
I would say describe it as Sonic events. Because it really was an event. Because, if we go back, they brought it out for the 30th anniversary. It was 2021. World was upside down. They're like, hey, let's record this, play it for everyone. Because really, because Sonic's been around for so long, there's so many different opinions on it. You know that, I know that. Everyone knows that. But one of the things I think everyone will genuinely agree on is that Sonic music is second to none, and to have a concert showing the best of the best of either the music from the level of music, the vocal tracks, the boss event songs, character songs, to get live recordings of that accompanied with orchestral music, it was really great. Like when I went to it earlier this year in Seattle, they had it in a venue that hold roughly about 2,000 people. It was a packed show. There were people of all ages. There were kids. There were adults. There were adults with kids. There were, people like me, the awkward person in their 30s. I bumped into the game apologists. We looked at each other from afar. But,
you bumped tacos? No, I'm joking.
No, I didn't bump tacos. Okay. It was funny. It's like, I'm standing out because it was raining that night. Seattle, rain. I know. Happens all the time. And then I kind of look over and I see this guy, he's dressed to the nines. He's got green on, which is, of course, is the game apologist calling card. He looks at me. I look at him. We kind of give each other that I respect your game nod. And they kind of went in. I tweeted in this after, the show. It's like, I saw him. I was like, why didn't you come over and say hi? Because you were busy and we were trying to get in. That's funny. But that's my game apologist story. Never actually spoke to him in person. But, hey, I saw him. Yeah, there was a bunch of others. I think Evan Stanley.
You could say something like, I didn't want to bump into you because I'd probably say the wrong thing. Yeah. Like, you're that weird guy who likes Sally Acorn. I mean, no. What do I want to say? Yeah, you're that. No.
In about 8 months, I'm going to have a podcast, and you should totally come on the podcast with us.
Yes. So we mean the best. It's just sometimes, our minds are like going 100 miles a minute, and like, I'm going to say something that's really fucking embarrassing. But anyway, apologist Nick, you're great. We like what you do. I love the Knuckles review. It was excellent. Please make more like that. Anyway, Malzil, continue. You had more to say.
Yeah, I mean, again, going back to the thing, Sonic Symphony, highly recommend it. I think they realize this is a big moneymaker, so they'll probably keep it around for a while. Because I know when I went, they, I think, brought in their new orchestral track for Aquatic Palace from Colors. They did the Frontiers music because, again, when they originally did it, Frontiers wasn't out yet. So, it's something that they can incorporate new music into the show. And, yeah. Highly recommend it. You should go see it if it's in your town. And if you have the money.
Your tickets are like $100 or so? I think mine was around that, too.
Mine was like 56.
56? Wow. Okay, that was cheaper than when I'm pretty sure it's around $100. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's right. It's like Ichimanen, which is like around $100 in yen. 150 if you wanted a special seat. Yeah. I mean, if you're talking, in terms of conversion, it's a lot less. But if, what is it? PPP, Purchase Power Parity. Purchase Power. Yeah, it's about $100 for me. Let's see. I went to the one here in Tokyo, as I just stated, and I would say it's probably one of the few events that it brought the Confederacy of Sonic together. So, because that rarely happens. Rarely do Sonic fans agree on one thing. Maybe if you've listened to the show, you've heard me, voice my opinions about what it is that Sonic media that I particularly don't enjoy. And I'm pretty sure there's probably media that Malzilla doesn't enjoy that I just like. That's my jam, my peanut butter and jam. But
a juice and jam, if you will.
Yeah. So how would you rate the experience of being the Sonic Symphony?
I'd say that was a solid 9. Except the seats that I was in, because I was, they did it in this really old theater, so the seats are like super tight.
Well, the venue's not really their fault, so I'm talking mostly just about the performance.
the performance itself was great. Again, the whole theater when old Jun Sonoy came out with the guitar, everyone just went wild. Everyone went wild.
And everybody knew who that was?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it was hilarious. I sit down, and I shit you not, folks, the people behind me start talking about Sally and Archie Sonic. And again, shows just how old I am. And it's a case of like, you hear people talk about Sonic in public on a random occasion, but to literally, and of course, where I was, but just to hear people go into they had a full conversation about Penders and Archie and Sally. And I'm just kind of like, this is strange. We only discuss this on the internet. Are we allowed to discuss this out in public?
Right. Well, I mean, how old were you say these people were behind you?
I honestly, I can't recall. I don't remember really looking at their faces. I think maybe they sounded like they were in late teens, early 20s. Maybe, I don't know.
I will tell you what the awkward goings of me going to the show. The funny thing is that like when you find your Sonic merch, you find like the shirt this is my merch, this is me, this is my shirt, and then you go there and you find like 5 other people wearing the same damn thing. You're like, damn it, I'm not so legit anymore. I'm not so cool. Like it was cool when I was the only one. That was one awkward point. The other awkward point was I would go up and I'd try to like make friends. I'd talk to other Sonic fans. Actually, 2 things when talking to Sonic fans in Japan. Number 1, I immediately, assumed, as assuming makes an ass out of you and me, that everyone there was Japanese. So of course I just start speaking in Japanese to people, not knowing that the people there are not Japanese. They're from Taiwan or they're from Hong Kong, and they don't know any Japanese. They're like, what the hell is this guy telling me? And they're just sitting there smiling. Like, I couldn't really tell if they were registering what I was saying, because, number 1, if you're a foreigner and you try to speak Japanese, you always meet many different types of people who react differently to the way you speak Japanese. Number 1 is if you start talking to them, you get some people who are like, why is this guy Kokujin like speaking in Japanese? Like, why is he doing that? Like, that's not supposed to happen. The other types you get are the ones who are like just being polite. And then the third type you get are the ones that just have nothing to say. So, but eventually once you start talking to them and like you switch languages, you eventually figure out what nationality they were. But that was kind of the experience I had. There was... let's see. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of artists there. There are people drawing artwork of Sonic that were, standing outside the building. I was with one of the people who makes the artwork for the Rally for Sally account. He goes by the handle Azul. He was drawing, like, random sketches for people. She and Star was there drawing things. My friend Miju was there giving out some of her Sonic art that, she lives from... get ready for this one. She's from Wuhan, China, and she came all the way here just for this show. So it was a very nice, way to meet new people, that like the things that you like, where it's not just one of these where it's like, because I think a lot of the time people, when they see Sonic media, or especially stuff that's in Japanese, for a lot of people, like, oh, I can't read this. I mean, maybe they might think, hey, cool, it's in another language, I don't understand, right? But they're not going to sit around and read text, or they're going to hit the auto translate button, right? They're probably not going to have the patience for talking to someone face to face. And I'll tell you, if you ever come to Japan and you happen to meet a Sonic fan, which is very rare, mind you, it is very hard. I mean, I wish Sega would do more of these, because it's a great chance to meet new people, because, on the internet, people are a lot more brave. They're a lot more, what's the word we could use? The only Japanese words that come into my head. They're a lot more, let's say, gross, let's say. And when you're in public, there's a lot more awkwardness, and you're not as, like, brave. Let me put it that way. And so it's much easier to make friends that way. Opposed to like, I like this one, I'm a big Trip fan, or I'm a big Mephiles fan, or what's a really random character to like really simp hard for? I guess Sally Acorn. There you go. And being
No.
Okay.
If we want to be, C-list simp, we gotta be real with this.
Okay.
We gotta go deep. We gotta go, we got to go hardcore. And
Chris Thorndike?
Mr.
Tanaka from Sonic X. No?
Wes Weasley, Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Okay, yeah. Who was that again? I completely forgot.
He was that fast-talking, like, lawyer guy, salesman.
Oh, the salesman. Yes, I know him. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. See, you don't even know his name. That's again, you gotta, if you're gonna simp, you gotta simp for the deep cuts. Or like, Bears. They did a whole Bears joke and Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yes. Actually, that opens up a good way to pivot. But before we pivot, I'll tell you what the pivot is in a minute. This is your secret. Go on, Malzil. You have something to add.
I was gonna say we do have some news. If we want
okay. Sonic news. We're a little late, but we're halfway into the show.
Not a whole lot, but there are a couple things. Obviously, next week is San Diego Comic-Con, and I think surprising most of us, it seems Sonic's really not going to have a presence. They're going to have the Speed Cafe, and a lot of the IDW writers and artists it seems like they're going to be doing some signings, but surprising me and kind of throwing all what I learned in my college marketing classes out the window. It seems Paramount is not going to have a Sonic 3 panel unless they like spring it on us. So, I think everyone, everyone's been waiting for that third trailer. We've been waiting for third trailers. We've been planning episodes around that third trailer, but we haven't gotten it yet. It seems like odds are a lot of people have joked that it's become No Way Home, the sequel. And if you don't understand the reference, obviously Spider-Man No Way Home was highly anticipated. Obviously, it brought back Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, along with Willem Dafoe, Alfred Molina, Jamie Foxx, Rhys Ifans. The actually only good multiversal movie that Marvel has made. But, that came out in December as well. It didn't get its first trailer till August. And everyone was kind of surprised because they figured, like, oh, people want to see what's going on with this. Why is Disney taking so long to put the information out there? Now, of course, with that one, that movie was too big to fail. I don't think Sonic 3 is on that level yet.
No.
And, like, even when Sonic 2, like, they debuted the trailer in December at, like, the Video Game Awards. But, like, we had gotten some news in August. That's when, like, Idris Elba did the Twitter announcement that he's playing Knuckles. Everyone's just like, say what now? So, like, yeah, we got the news that Keanu's playing Shadow, like, was that March or April? But that was never, like, fully confirmed by even, like, the movie's Twitter account. So it's like, fans are getting a little rabid. I'd imagine we'll get it sooner rather than later. I hate, again, I'm almost at the point where I'm going to give up on guessing dates, but at the Kids' Choice Awards, they did announce that they're going to air the Paramount Knuckles show, I think on like August 12th on Nickelodeon. So maybe they throw it up there then. I don't know. We'll get it eventually, I guess. And also,
go on. No, it's sounding like there's some stuff going on behind the scenes, but that's just my guess.
Maybe not. I don't know. I mean, I'll say this: Paramount kept things pretty much on a lockdown. There wasn't a whole lot of set photos. all the leaks have been kind of very, very grainy, and people are making suspected leaks. It's there's not a whole lot to go on yet, and people are kind of like wondering what's real, what's not. Again, we don't even know if Amy's going to be in the movie, and that's a conversation we had later on. But that's all the movie news. Do you want to chime in on anything like that?
The movie news? Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess in terms of like what, I guess comparing it to No Way Home. I mean, yeah, I remember like what was it when No Way Home came out? Like they had like a bunch of these leaks where they said, "Oh my God, there's 3 Spider-Mans in it," and remember they denied the leaks. Am I remember this correctly?
Well, so basically, what happened, like in one of the trailers, if you've seen the movie, it's the 3 Spider-Man swinging off to fight Sandman, the Lizard, and Electro. But in the trailer, they just had, what's his face, Tom Holland. When clearly, if you look at the editing, it's like, oh yeah, they've cut out 2 people. They did the same thing in Godzilla and Kong New Empire when you see the 2 of them roaring. Like clearly, there's a third character they omitted from the trailer, which in that case it was Mothra, because I wanted keep Mothra under wraps. But again, editing, sometimes it's no matter how good you are, fans obsess enough, they will find the Photoshop.
Oh yeah, now thanks to the miracle of modern day technology, it's much easier now. Easier, excuse me.
I do have
yeah, you do. What do you have? Tell me.
I was gonna say a couple of things. First off, this actually just came out today.
Okay.
Sonic team for Sonic X Shadow Generation announced that anyone who buys the physical copy, the cover of the game is going to be reversible. So one side is going to be the cover of the American cover, which we saw was, Shadow and Sonic and Classic Sonic, the lame cover. But if you flip on the back, you will get the Japanese cover, which is the cool Sonic and Shadow upside down thing. So, yeah. So
yeah, I've already had people ask me to like buy this for them. So I guess I better get on that.
Well, now they can get the cover in the U.S.
I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm not too thrilled about this Shadow game, but anyway, carry on.
They did do a release the other day where they showed the side-by-side graphics of SA2, Sonic Heroes, and Sonic 06 to the 3 levels that they revealed. Now, apparently one of the game designers went on Twitter and says, "Hey, there are more than 3 levels. We can't just show everything yet." So, people were kind of worried, is it only going to be 3 levels? No, it's going to be more, which is nice.
Oh, that's good to know.
That's about all the game news. Now, I do want to bring up something comic related because, while not exactly Sonic news, it definitely starts opening up some doors of possibilities that I think, if you had asked me 10 years ago, never would have happened. So IDW, a not final art, mind you, but a cover of a crossover that they're putting out in October was released. Naturally, as always, it's the Crossover Kings Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but they're crossing over with Naruto. So this is like the first time I can recall a American comic series has crossed over with one of the big Shonen Jump series. Huh. And, if Shueisha, which is the company that owns Jump,
you exclude Rockman? Or Capcom?
Yeah, Capcom.
Okay, continue.
Well, but again, Capcom's a video game company. Okay. And they had like the license with Archie.
Oh, okay, so for Shonen. Okay.
Yeah, so for Shonen, so to have the Naruto franchise, which is a multi-million, famous anime franchise, The main series is over. They're doing the Boruto sequel series right now. So this is a big franchise that they are just going back and say, hey, we're going to do a crossover with Naruto, because ninjas, I guess. But the fact that this is Shueisha and IDW working together, people have started kind of connecting the dots that may or may not be there. And if they can team up for this, who's to say we can't get a Sonic Dragon Ball crossover comic? Yeah, people have been drawing fan art of the Super Hedgehogs versus the Super Saiyans for years, and now that as slim as a chance as it can be that it may be a reality. I know you're not a huge anime guy, but this is kind of hardcore. If this sets some really new precedents for things.
Yeah, you're right. I'm not really an anime guy, but I do like Dragon Ball, so that's cool. I mean, I'm not sure what they do with it. I mean,
7 Dragon Balls, 7 Chaos Emeralds. It could be something.
And what is it? Do you follow the modern Dragon Ball stuff? I don't.
I do. They actually just released a trailer for Dragon Ball Daima, which is coming out streaming in October. That was the last project Akira Toriyama worked on before he passed earlier this year. So,
wow,
kind of a little emotional thing for a lot of us Dragon Ball fans.
Yeah. Well, one thing I want to ask you, and this is it's not really related to Sonic, but kind of. In terms of like the Dragon Ball series, like you have just Dragon Ball, then you have Z, then you have GT. How would you rank like the Dragon Ball ones? I know it's kind of probably a little hard to do it on the fly, but
oh no,
you can do it. Okay,
I can do it. Well, a couple of caveats. Just for the sake of being politically correct. The Dragon Ball story, the manga, is just called Dragon Ball. They really didn't throw the Z in there. That was a whole Toei thing to when they, kind of how there's Naruto and Naruto Shippuden. I mean, it's still just Naruto, but they used it as kind of to differentiate the eras of the story.
Oh,
so, okay. So I gotta say, I know people are gonna give me flack for this, but Z is my favorite. I do like it better than OG Dragon Ball, the early years. The early years are great. Z speaks to me more. I like Super, but I think it's kind of it in Dragon Ball. The OG are kind of up and down. Like sometimes I like this one more, sometimes I like the other. GT, if you like GT, it's fine, but most people are going to say, yeah, it's at the bottom of the totem pole.
Oh. So those are the series. Like Broly is the movie only, right? Because I don't go on.
Yeah, so Dragon Ball Super Broly is like the name. That's like
that's the name of it. Okay.
Yeah, so Broly, because technically that's the 4th Broly movie, because basically how animes do it is like they'll make these like specials that really have no effect on the story. They're kind of like alternate universe type stories that kind of reflect what's going on in the main story. Like, so Dragon Ball Z had like 13 movies that they made like in the 90s.
Yeah.
And then they start, I forget when Battle of Gods came out. So like Battle Gods and then Resurrection F, which came out, within the last 10 years, those were they were still considered Dragon Ball Z films. And then when Super came along and finished, that's when Broly came out after Super. So that was still Dragon Ball Super Broly. And then most recently we had Dragon Ball Super Hero. So, I mean, ultimately it's all Dragon Ball, but if you want to differentiate the series dividers, but it's all the same.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, no, okay, so for you it's Z, Dragon Ball, GT, then Super? Or was it
No, it's Z, Super and OG are kind of on the same level.
It's like a tie?
GT at the bottom. Yeah, it's a tie.
Okay. Yeah, because I read the manga during what is it? During lockdown. I actually kind of gave up on it during the Z era. I mean, I'll go back to it. I will go back to it because I remember enjoying the anime a lot. But to me, it was just so different from Dragon Ball that it was a little off-putting for me. I understand there's a lot of Z fans, and I mean, the whole thing that kind of was a little off-putting was just that it felt kind of, I don't know. It's sort of like, I guess it's the same thing with, I guess because Dragon Ball was more like a road movie kind of show, and they kind of did the same thing with Z, but it was one of those where it's like,
well, the best way to describe it is that Dragon Ball really, for the most part, was a fantasy comedy series, especially like in its first initial arcs. Right. It really wasn't until they brought in King Piccolo that it kind of made the shift to a more action oriented, and then obviously when the Z area started, it kind of put its fantasy kung fu roots behind it. So again, a lot of characters: Yamcha, Tien, Chaozu, Launch. Some of those old characters started kind of get less time as it became more sci-fi. Goku and Piccolo became, or now revealed to be, aliens. You got Frieza. So as the story got bigger, it kind of transitioned from fantasy to sci-fi.
Okay. So to bring this back to the Sonic elements of the show, which one do you think would best fit with Sonic the Hedgehog? For me, it's Dragon Ball, but I don't think that's fair because I haven't seen the others. But I'm guessing for you, it's Z.
I would say because of the obvious influences of, well, actually, if you did like a classic Sonic in Dragon Ball, like Kid Goku, that would be simpatico. But yeah, if you wanted to do like what would be like the modern cast, then yeah, you got to go Z. You know, Silver and Shadow have, are, character descendants of, Trunks and Vegeta. And what I mean by that is clearly Trunks and Vegeta were inspirations for Shadow and Silver. So you would definitely kind of bring those, want to bring those together to, throw down.
Okay. All right. Well, So I guess if we need to talk about another crossover between Sonic the Hedgehog and Dragon Ball, you're our guy. I mean, obviously, I need to catch up on some of this stuff, but there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things competing for my attention, as you know.
Are there really?
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know. Let me put it this way. There is, but there's also like I don't want to read this. That sort of thing. There's a lot of that. It's like
sometimes
it's sort of like, I don't know, like for example, like let's say you're doing a workout and you got a cardio and you're like, man, I don't want to be here today. I'd rather just be, getting fat and singing the blues, and watching my soaps, right? Do you know what I mean? It kind of feels that way sometimes with some media where you sort of feel like you're on a racetrack and you got to get from one point to the next point. And I don't know. I'll tell you one thing. My girlfriend does this all the time. And it drives me crazy. She does this thing where it's like she doesn't want to wait to see what happens at the very end, so she just skips to the last episode and then watches the last episode just to see what happens. Because it's like having to wait or sitting through that many pages, that much time. It's just torture,
Yeah, some people just care about the destination, not so much the journey.
Sometimes the journey can be fun. I mean, I don't
most
know.
of the time the journey is what's fun.
Okay, so you're always in it for the journey, is what you're saying.
I think sometimes if you're curious, like, want to know something funny with me? The first Star Wars movie I ever saw when I was a kid was Return of the Jedi. So, and that's the end of the original trilogy. So when I went back and and then I watched A New Hope and, Empire Strikes Back, it kind of said, okay, well, I know where everything ends up. How did we get there? Now, naturally, that kind of deprived me of that. Oh my God, Vader is Luke's father, and it's like, oh yeah, he's his father.
Spoilers.
It's like,
I'm just kidding. You should know that by now.
Yeah, it's kind of pop culture indoctrination.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Like Homer Simpson walking out of Empire saying, "Man, I didn't know that Vader was Luke's father." And there's all the people still waiting to see it. They all grow. Yeah, no. This is true. This is true. Yeah, I'm not the same kind of person where I kind of believe in seeing things the way they come out, by date, by time. Because I remember watching Twin Peaks, and I watched them out of order, because I didn't know which order was in. This is like pre-internet, before you can like look up everything and like type in a question and get an answer. But I didn't know which, because I started with the Twin Peaks movie, and I didn't know that they kind of just assume that you already know who the killer is. And I kind of wish I had that reveal. Like, I could have been there for that reveal. So it kind of really, I don't know. It's like, I wish I had that experience of seeing it for the first time, of like watching the reveal. So maybe that's why I'm always like, I'm a journey person. Like, I mean, I want to experience the journey, and I want to see the destination before I see the destination. So like for example, when my girlfriend just skips to the end, like, no, I'm leaving, I'm not watching the end. That's just me, because I don't want to have that experience where it's like, who's this, and what's that character, and why is he doing this? That asking so many questions, because it's like my mind can't focus on like all these different things going on, because like at least I'm familiar with everything going on. I mean, I guess this is another reason why I love horror movies. Like, you understand how the killer or whoever the force is in the horror film, how it gets defeated, because they figure out all the rules and how to get rid of the horrible experience. So, there's me in a nutshell.
There you go.
So,
this is me in a nutshell.
That was you in a nutshell? Did you have more to add?
No. I'm finished.
Okay. I don't know. I'm sorry. I cut you off earlier. You said you saw Evan Stanley. I mean, I'm rewinding all the way back here. Speaking of doing things out of order, you saw Evan Stanley at Sonic Symphony in Seattle?
I did not, but I saw that, on social media that she was there.
Oh, okay. I see. Did you see anyone else there of notoriety?
I did not.
Okay. So just gaming apologist. And
Yep.
You gave him the salute. You told him to do it to it.
The nod of acknowledgement. That's what I'm calling it.
Yeah. To further stealth... no, it's not stealth anymore. It's just to further plug my show to interview, because it's like, it was a real big highlight for me. It was a lot of stress putting that interview together, because, I mean, this is an interview where I'm in the room with him. I really feel like better interviews today, it's like better communication. Even like me with Malzilla right now, it's a little hard for me to fully communicate with him, because I don't see his face. We're just recording this through a Discord call. So sometimes, like, doing interviews like this, even ones on Zoom, you kind of lose a lot of communication between you and the person you're talking to. This way it seems a lot, it's a lot more, what's the word? There's a lot more communication. Like, you kind of learn a little bit more about who Shota was and where he came from and his background.
Bit more intimate.
Yeah, you could say that. Right now, there's only the 14-minute version up on YouTube. I'm going to release the longer 42-minute, which is a lot more thorough and a lot deeper. If you like that interview, please let me know. I do really do need your feedback. It's really helpful to get feedback. Feel free to leave a comment on it. I don't know. Thoughts, Malzil, what did you think of it?
What? Of the interview?
Yeah, with Shota.
Oh,
did you learn anything? Did you add anything to it? Your experience of going to Sonic Symphony?
It was interesting. I mean, obviously, to see kind of the brains behind the operation was intriguing. I will admit, kind of, my knowledge of all the Sonic Sega people behind the scenes, I'm terrible with names. So, like, it was nice to kind of get a face to the name and to see what they do and kind of the, their passion for the project was nice. He seemed really happy with all the success they've been having. So, it's nice to see people, put in hard work.
Was there anything that you got out of it in particular? Because I think I only showed you the short version, right?
Yeah, I can't quite remember if there's anything like, oh, I completely, that was really super interesting. But again, it's a great interview. People go see it. Go watch it.
Yeah, for me personally, I mean, I'll talk a little bit about it here. For me, it was very fat because that's why I titled it "From Humble Beginnings," to Symphony Virtuoso, because he pretty much started off with basically nothing in Okinawa. Because I don't know if because I've been to some of these places he's talking about, like some of these areas, it's like Jurassic Park, right? I'm really serious. It's like it's very primitive. So yeah, like what he says, that he grew up eating sugar cane and he had to use a hose for a shower. That's very real, especially in the 90s when he grew up. I mean, it's a bit more modern today. Like they have international airports and convenience stores there now. But yeah, pretty
Family
much.
Mart.
Yeah, Family Mart, 7-Eleven, Flossens, all that stuff. Yeah, so pretty much that his journey kind of from going to Okinawa all the way to the U.S., to studying and then basically meeting the right people to start doing the symphony. It's very interesting because, I mean, and I feel like, to me, this guy's a celebrity. This guy's the man, But I think I talked a little bit about this in the previous interview with Chevelle, so I'm not going to cannibalize. I'm not going to keep repeating myself. And plus, you should go listen to that one. As the time of this recording, it is not uploaded, mostly because I've been busy this week, and it's my birthday week, so I've been...
Happy birthday to Radrey.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to you. So yes, at the time, as we're recording this, it is Radrey's birthday. He's a year older, a year wiser, and maybe a couple more gray hairs.
Yeah. About to go bald. No, I'm not about to. My hair is thinning, but I'm not going bald. Yeah. So, thank you if anyone who sent me birthday messages. I appreciate it. It's nice to know that you still remember who I am. Anyway, that being said, yes. So I kind of want something I wanted to talk about, something in terms of like the planning of this show, and I guess planning of my other show, Sonic Historian. As I know, there's a lot of people who are still waiting on their interview to be uploaded onto the YouTube channel. And number one, sorry. Number two, the reason why the wait has been so long is I'm trying to figure out a way to present it in a way that's interesting. That'll get... Because the biggest thing, even with this show, I feel like the problem with Sonic the Hedgehog in terms of growing the show or meeting new people or, having more, having a lot more experiences is we need to sort of reach out to people who aren't Sonic fans. Because a lot of people know this character, but a lot of them don't really know the deeper lore, nor do they probably have time to know the deeper lore, and they kind of have a very surface-level understanding. Like, probably for some people, the name Ken Penders, that they consider, oh, I know who Ken Penders is, and they act like that's deep lore, when, I don't know, I guess it's not really deep lore. Whereas I'd say probably, Malzilla here, he's been, digging the mines a lot longer than I have. He's a lot further down. Sure, I have had some nice drills over the years, if you don't mind the metaphor. I've been having some nice drills over the years that's got me pretty far, to get me that geothermal energy underneath the the planet core of where the good lore is. But relatively, I would say there's not that many. There are a lot of people in the fandom. I don't know. Sonic fandom's a strange fandom. There's a lot of people, but it's very scattered. And it's very, I guess the word you'd use is sleeper. So it's really difficult to really pinpoint how big the fandom is, who is a fan, why are they fans, and so one thing I kind of wanted to do with this, Sonic Historian show, even with this show, I mean, this show is more of a chat and chill thing, is try to figure out a way and how to connect with people who are not Sonic fans. How do I get a plug for this show? How do I get them on this journey of my experience entering the Sonic fandom and engaging with me, if you know what I mean? Like, for example, I was thinking about, like, some of the ideas I've had behind the show, because, as a person who lives in Japan, I've been watching a lot of shows where they have, like, hosts that talk about Japanese culture, like Abroad in Japan or Japanorama, where you have Jonathan Ross, who goes around Japan, he introduces you to a bunch of Japanese things. And I was also sort of trying to think about adding in a comedy element to it, sort of this Nathan Fielder kind of style to present to the audience. Because I was also thinking in a way that we sort of have, a normal story should always have like a main character who has some sort of a need and some sort of a want. Because a need is always something more like kind of, I guess, metaphysical, whereas a want is something simple. Like, he wants a coffee, he wants a water, he wants this, right? So, I don't know. And then I'll be flat out honest. I'm still trying to kind of like work the brain cells to get to the point of saying, how is it that I get a hook, to get new viewers invested in this show? So it's to the point where they want to keep moving on to the next one. Malzilla, thoughts?
Yeah.
I know that's a very long-winded way to describe it, but yes. If if you want to just like, I don't know, give me a big shrug, like, oh no, man, good luck. That's fine with me.
I don't want to be that much of a dick.
You can if you want to. I mean, it's kind of a more personal thing. But anyway, continue, please.
Ideally with the show, I mean, I want it to be entertaining. If a non-Sonic fan can pull something out of it, say, hey, what they're talking about is interesting, I want to learn more, that's awesome. That's great, But I think at the same time, again, Sonic fans, this is kind of, you and I are both Sonic fans, and at the end of the day, as much as we'd like new people to kind of approach this is kind of really for anything, this is for us. This is for us Sonic fans, Sonic Pod for Sonic fans.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're not going to turn anyone away, say, no, you can't listen to us just because, you don't like Sonic. Well, you might not like Sonic now, but you might like him in the future. You might watch Sonic Movie 3 and say, oh my God, this is awesome. I want to learn. And they're like, oh, I'm going to listen to these podcasts. And these guys are saying wow, there's a lot of crazy shit going on. Do I want to dive in? You'd be like, yes, I do. And then you swan dive and you make, might regret some choices of stuff you find, but at the end of the day, if you have fun, you have fun. That's the whole point.
Right. Yeah. Sort of giving people an experience of swan diving into it, because I try to listen to podcasts and watch people who watch, who review the Sonic movie, who like bigger name people. I mean, some people what is it? It's interesting seeing contentious opinions about the Game Grumps, but I do think they give a very surface level understanding of Sonic the Hedgehog, which I find kind of refreshing in a weird way. So, because I feel I
think with the Game Grumps, they're mostly doing it for entertainment purposes.
Oh yes, definitely.
So,
so I sort of feel like there needs to be some sort of hook that gets them invested in this. So let me ask you this, Malzilla. Think of a property you have no interest in that you probably, what is it that would probably get you invested in it? Let me think. Let me think of one property you've never talked to me about. My Little Pony. Have you ever watched that?
No.
Because, I mean, there's the whole brony aspect of it. What would get you invested in something like that? Like Action Ponies or something? Or
I don't think they're anything possible. I think, that's a property, that is so out of my demographic interest in.
Do you think because it's sold more because it's sold more in terms of like girls, or because there's the negative connotation of being a brony, or
no, it's just
because I mean I'll be flat out honest with you. Like I remember when like the Sally Acorn comic book came out, I'm like, I'm not touching that. That stuff's for girls, right? I was totally like that as a little kid. So, but today it's just sort of like I feel much different. But
well, I think again, it's just a franchise that has never appealed to me. Even when I was a kid, I was into other things. I was a dinosaur kid.
Right,
so,
right. Hence the name Malzilla, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I got a whole tokusatsu slippery slope that has, affected my life. But yeah, there are just some things that you just kind of roll with it not being, you're not the audience for, and you just kind of have to accept that.
Right.
Again, it's like some of the stuff, and I've said this before in a bunch of other. I'm trying to think of a specific Sonic example, but it's like I can say, I'm reading this. I can say, you know what, I'm not the target, demographic for this project. I mean, there are parts that I like, but I'm not gonna like get myself super invested because at the end of the day, I'm not, what I like is probably not going to get catered to. In a way, it's kind of like being a Sad AM fan. It's like, I'm a Sad AM fan. It had its day. I think there are, you can definitely incorporate some of that stuff and characters into the modern. But at the same time, it's like, I know it's not coming back. It's kind of...
Don't say that just yet. You never know.
I mean, you never know, but I'd love to be wrong.
I would love to be wrong about that too. But I mean, one thing I will say about Sad Am is that I would talk to people who are not Sonic fans, who clearly they aren't invested in it like I am, or you are, who they knew of Sad Am and they watched that show. They have a clear memory of it. And it was very accessible for them.
I do remember, like, several years ago on a movie forum, because we're talking about, Sonic 2 and what they could do. And a lot of people brought up the Freedom Fighters. So again, there are non-Sonic fans who know who those characters are. So, yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying there. I've been in that same scenario.
Okay, so maybe this is the angle. I'm thinking while talking here, thinking while planning. Maybe this could be the angle where you sort of like, you talk about these small things that you sort of remember and it being accessible. And you kind of make that the quote unquote, the MacGuffin of it all, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Makes sense? All right. Because I sort of feel like there sort of needs to be, at the same time, like, setting up like a normal movie, like a normal script, you have to sort of set it up to where a character has a want and a need, as I said prior. So this way, it kind of entices viewers to like stick around to like the very end. Like, does he make it towards the end? So I think that would be the angle. I mean, the only thing I have that's like kind of my only criticism of this idea is the characters still aren't very well known outside of North America. I mean, it was really weird for me to see people who like it in South America or anywhere in Europe, heck, anywhere else in the world. I mean, I know, it's funny. I was even talking to Miju not too long ago, and she was talking about how she had a bootleg of this in China, or of Sad Am in China. So, go figure. Who knows? Who knows what people remember? I mean, I'll tell you one thing. One thing I love about living in Japan is you think, I'm tired of living here. There's too much, the people in Japan are too different. The land is too strange. The food is too, I'll never connect with the people here. I mean, I was about to say the food is too different, but it is. But you eventually get used to it, and it's great, and it's clean, and it's fresh. But the thing of living in Japan that probably keeps me here is, one moment you're sitting there, and then you just see something absolutely fascinating. Like, I don't know, you could look up the word like kofun, right? There's these kofuns in Japan where there's these big keyholes in the middle of nowhere, and you're like, why the hell is there a keyhole in the middle of these big ones? You can only see them from a bird's eye view of this big kofun. So I'm just saying that Sonic the Hedgehog, for me, it's a lot like this, because there's lots of mystery of the remnants of the past that you sort of wonder, how did we get here?
Anthropological mysteries.
And that's my pitch. I don't know. What do you think, Godzilla? What do you give me? 10 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 7 out of 10? What do you think? Would you watch this show? Would it get you invested in My Little Pony? Let's pretend this is My Little Pony characters.
No.
No. Still no. Okay. All right.
Again, it's just, there are some franchises that just you can never really, But I think, but yeah, to your point with Sonic, there is a lot of, to take this back to just your Sonic historian in general, there's a lot of interesting things when, you've been around as long as we have as a franchise. There's a lot of little bizarre oddities, and those are fun to explore and to appreciate it, because let's be honest, Sega's really not doing much to, promote a lot of this stuff in positive ways, so it falls on us.
Definitely seems so. Well, I mean, I guess that makes sense. I mean, what is it? Not everybody's going to like Japan, right? Not everybody's going to like things from Japan. So I guess it's one of those, you find the people that are already interested in it. I don't know. I mean, I guess, comparing it to the country of Japan, I mean, I know maybe you could say it's kind of a false equivalency, but I sort of think, I guess we just have to stay inside our niche, quote unquote. I don't know.
I think you can, appealing to a broader audience is never not wrong, but I do think, take care of your base. And again, and I think that is something that is becoming really universal as we see a lot of IP becoming, popular.
I'd say it's more Paramount, personally, but yes.
Well,
I'm
thinking more of Marvel, to be honest, because again, Marvel has taken a lot of these big, comic stories and have done, at least in the beginning, a good job of making sure that people, the average Joe can watch this and understand and not just get, buried under comic-ese of crazy sci-fi lingo and whatnot.
Yeah.
Just being, a movie that you can pick up and say, oh, wow, this is really great. Whereas, you have the fans who go oh, yeah, they understand the character. Again, when that first Iron Man film came out, yeah, people kind of knew Iron Man, but it's no one gave a shit about Iron Man.
That's true. This is very true.
And so it's they got the right people, they got the right actor, they got the right director, and they put out a film where it was oh, this is actually really interesting from not only a general public view, but also, you look at a lot of, comic fans saying, oh, there's a little, I know what they're referencing this, it's the Mandarin and the Ten Rings. I know who those guys are, yada, yada. And now that becomes a case where suddenly, for example, you get to the Sonic and, Mario movies where at what point do you balance being, an Easter egg fest? I will say this. I enjoyed the Mario movie, but the story itself is pretty meh. It's only a little bit better than the first Sonic film, and partly because of Jack Black's Bowser and Peach's should have winning the Academy Award for Best Song.
Well, yeah, I could probably go on a whole thing about that movie in terms of being critical.
But yeah, I mean, again, you could rip that movie shreds, but it did some good things, and it was very, memorable. But at the same time, I think I look to Sonic 2 and say, okay, here's something that understands that it has a very deep well of lore to pull from, and to not get too in deep, whereas you're gonna drown your audience, and only 5 people who have been fans of Sonic for 30 years are gonna get. It's shallow, but it's well intended. It's like, okay, here's the Master Emerald. Here are the Akenda tribes, using it as a holder weapon for the 7 Chaos Emeralds. And here is one not Enerjack using it to power up and kick people's ass. But at the same time, it's like, it's like, okay, Power MacGuffin makes Sonic strong. So, yeah. Am I making any sense? Because I feel like I'm starting.
No. You make 100% sense. I mean, it's just sort of like, the movies aren't. I mean, if I were to put on my real, we'll probably do this when we get there.
Well, let's focus. Let's give folks a little hint of what's to come later this fall. Radrey and I will be doing, in the lead up to Sonic 3 in December, we will be doing a full breakdown of Movies 1, Movies 2, and the Knuckles TV show, to kind of set up, a review of Sonic 3. I don't know when is Sonic 3 releasing in Japan, or have they announced that yet?
Usually it's always forever. I am not waiting like I did last year. I am not going to wait 3 months, and while I have to, shield myself from plot points, spoilers and everything, and like, remember when he did this, and this happened, and this happened? That was annoying. So, yeah, we'll probably go sneak onto base to go see it when it comes out. To a military base where they bring the movie for... Yeah. They do this at military bases in Japan. So I'll probably do that. But, yes, it'll probably be 3 months late. I don't think Sonic has enough money to get here in time. It's not like Disney, where they released Star Wars the same day everywhere around the world.
Or it's Godzilla actually released that in Japan earlier.
Yeah, exactly. -1 came out first in Japan, and it took about a month or so. I forgot how long
I was actually there. They took a month, and honest to God, I am still shocked that we got it that fast.
Really?
Like, yeah, that was like, it's like, damn. Because like a lot of times, especially more with anime movies, that it's been taking 6 months to a year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, example, like when Dragon Ball Super Broly came out. I forget when that. Actually, let me pull that up right now. Good old Wikipedia. So, it was released in December in Japan. Okay. And then we got it in the US. So the worldwide premiere was November 14th. It was open nationwide on the 14th of December, so a month later. And it was released in January, so they actually got that fairly quickly. But a lot of it was a case of we wouldn't get it out till much later. So I mean, obviously things have changed now, especially with how much hot IP is coming out of Japan to the States now, and how much States are chomping it up. But yeah, so. One thing kind of going what I want to do is, I don't want to rush you to see it as quickly as you can. If you can sneak on base to see it, that's great. Because I was kind of hoping, maybe for our end of the year podcast, to get some of our other friends of the show, like Chevelle, to kind of do a, a panel kind of powwow and say what we liked, what we didn't like, what we would have done differently, kind of just because that was one thing, and once you guys hear our, episode with Chevelle, it's fun to get multiple people's opinions because it's like, it's not just Radrey and I bantering back and forth.
Or just us agreeing with each other back and forth.
Exactly. Yeah. We're not just, and for the most part, we have some different opinions, but we don't really jump at each other about them.
Yeah, we're not too content. We like the same things. I mean, maybe that's kind of helpful because that way we're not like, at each other's necks. It's not like we're watching Fox News or something, where it's just people, or CNN or one of those news shows where it's just people screaming. CNN presents people screaming.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes, we're not one of those shows. So, yeah, we will do thorough reviews of both the movie and the Knuckles show. I think episode by episode with the Knuckles show. How did you want to do that, Melzilla?
Yeah, we can do. I'd say we depending. 3. Well, since it's only 6 episodes, when we can let our esteemed viewership decide. If you want, we can do episode by episode. I was thinking since each episode's kind of they're building pairs. In a way that maybe we do 2 episodes, but if people want to hear a single episode about each, we have thoughts. We will tell you our thoughts. You may agree with them, you may not.
Okay, but to give a little hint of what's to come, we are also planning to do a review of the SatAM show. Probably do 3 episodes for 1 episode. I think that's what our plan was.
Yeah,
confirm this with me. Yeah, so we're gonna do the first 3 episodes of the SatAM. And then probably we'll move on to Adventures of and Sonic Boom and a few others, possibly Sonic X.
Tell us what you want to hear. If you want to hear our thoughts about specific property, let us know. Leave us a comment. Join the Discord. Tell us. Because if you tell us, we will make it. We will pod it.
Yeah. Do 5 push-ups. Call your mom. Tell her she's beautiful. Pay back your student loans. Rotate your tires. I don't know, what else do they do? Sorry, I always find this hilarious. Like people do the call to action. So,
call to action. Woohoo!
Yeah. So, I don't know, Malza. Anything else you want to say before we go?
I know, folks. This, apologize for the length that it took us to, get the Chevelle episode up. So we had some internet issues that have made it a little hard to edit. But we're getting through it. We'll get it to you hopefully before you hear this message, and hopefully before Sonic Movie 3. Though the trailer might come out at any time. We don't know. But again,
I don't think so.
We wanted to record something. Oh.
No, yeah. I don't think it's going to come out because I think it's like what you said. They're going to have some sort of like the Kids' Choice Awards or something, and the Sonic trailer. They're going to hype it up.
Well, the thing is, Nickelodeon just did their Kids' Choice Awards.
Oh, that's
there's
right.
really nothing. There's really nothing in August other than saying, "Hey, you just watched the Knuckles show. Now watch the premiere of Sonic Movie 3 that comes out in X amount of months." So, yeah. I mean, heck, we just got a trailer for, Captain America: Brave New World, which is totally different than Sonic the Hedgehog: Brave New World, Supersonic Special 2 from Archie. That's coming out in February of next year, and they even gave us a brief shot of Harrison Ford as the Red Hulk.
There you go. Oh yeah, that's right. I saw that too. All right then.
Yeah,
Yeah, you got something to add?
No, I'm done. I'm done. Thanks everyone for listening. Again, have a happy birthday, Radrey.
Thank you.
Enjoy yourself.
So what do we end on? What's the Sonic quote we end on this time? All I can think of is like end quotes that are from other properties that aren't related to Sonic.
Well, it's time for us to juice and jam out of here.
Let's have juice and jam time. All right, there we go.
It's juice and jam time.